Welcome my dear students once again in today's session on Human Resource Management, that is paper 4 of your course Modern Office Management. And today we are going to take up Human Resource Policy, HRM Policy and Manual. The first part in today's discussion will talk about the basic concept of Human Resource Planning. We'll try and talk about the importance of Human Resource Planning. And when we talk about planning for human resources and forecasting for human resources, the most important thing that talks about is recruitment. So today we'll try and talk about recruitment. We'll try and look into the need for continuous recruitment. We'll talk about how this process of recruitment is happening in different sectors. You talk about the academics, you talk about maybe the automobile sector, you talk about the service sector like a tourism or travel company. So how is recruitment happening? So that is what we'll talk about, the process of recruitment from real life perspective. Then we'll try and have a look into the different sources of recruitment available for a HR manager, where from you can get the right person for the right job. So in a nutshell, these will be the focus for today's session. So my dear students, let's start with human resource management in the context of human resource planning. Now when we talk about planning, we know that planning is pervasive. We know planning is futuristic. So similarly, when it comes to human resource planning, we are saying that through HR planning, manager attempts to anticipate forces that will influence the future supply of and demand for employees. Think about a situation. You are the HR manager of your company. So what will be the requirement for employees down the line? Maybe in the next 1 year, next 5 years, or down the line, maybe next 10 years. So that talks about human resource planning. Now, when we talk about human resource planning, how we try and understand this concept, it is basically a process of arriving at a balance between human resource required and acquired in an organization. The two keywords are very important for you to take note of. One is the human resource required and the second one is the human resource acquired in an organization. So this is a process which is trying to have a balance. Because if one side is taking the upper hand, then probably it is not an equilibrium kind of a situation. So this is human resource planning. So when we talk about human resource planning, it is very important. Why is human resource planning becoming so important in 21st century? I think you have the answer. The first one is high level turnover. Gone are those days probably when you used to join an organization and you are going to perform, you are going to promote it and subsequently you will retire from those organizations. Not too many private sector organizations nowadays employees are like that. So probably this is a reason that is high labor turnover. Another important reason for planning for human resource is VRS. So that is another important reason why companies need to have a sound HR planning. The third one is career advancement and promotion. So this will also help your organization to identify who are the people who need to be promoted and who are going to replace those people in their place. So these are some of the important reasons what we need to remind ourselves about human resource planning. Now the most important thing what we are trying to discuss today is about recruitment. And I think you think about big, you think about small, you think about medium-sized organization across industry. Everywhere recruitment is happening. And recruitment happens to be very, very important kind of activity for a HR manager. Now, recruitment and selection of the right type of people for the right type of job is an important aspect for all organizations. And without this, I think organization cannot survive. The quality of the employees has a direct influence on the performance of the organization. It is actually not the machine or not the technology, but the people who are running those machines or the people who are actually operating those technologies, the softwares and all, who are giving you a business edge over your competitors. So that is why it is important for us to remind ourselves the quality of employee has a direct influence on the performance of organization. So across sector, you will find this happening. When we talk about industry, for example, the advertising world, when we talk about how is the recruitment, not too many companies openly advertise who want to get people. Now, advertising is not everybody's cup of tea. They look for specialized people with specialized talent. So often we say that it is a very close kind of a recruitment we see in the advertising agencies. And the leading agencies, they actually look for people having some special talent, whether it's a creativity or maybe some kind of a sound strategy and account planning, or people who are good at something like maybe dealing with facts and figures so that they can do the right kind of media strategy for the client. So these are all over the place which is happening. Now when we come back to recruitment, adequate care need to be taken for recruitment of an employee of an organization. Why? In order to make different activities meaningful. The first one is, if you don't recruit the right people, then probably training need identification and subsequently imparting training to your employees might not be very fruitful. The second thing is that supervision of employee is very, very important. So that also happens if you have the right people recruited. Motivation of the employee is another important activities. Recruitment can make these activities meaningful. Remuneration of employees happens to be another important activities. Once you recruit your employees, you need to think about their motivational level. You need to work out the right kind of remuneration for the employees. So these are very, very important issues for a HR manager to take care of. When we talk about recruitment and selection, we need to understand the difference between these two terms. One is called recruitment, the other one is selection. Now, recruitment is a process where the prospective candidates are found and are encouraged to apply for the job. So when we talk about recruitment, we can see there is some kind of positivity in it. We are encouraging the people to apply for the job. Now, when it comes to selection, it is basically a process of choosing a few out of the total long list of people who have applied for a particular job. Now, in a way, we can say that selection is not that positive. According to Dell Yoder, you will see recruitment is positive in its approach, whereas selection is negative by its function. Now, why we have to take note of this point? Because in recruitment, you are encouraging the prospective employees to apply, whether it is maybe from the internet or maybe by sending a direct kind of a application to your office. On the other hand, from the number of people who have applied, you are actually doing some kind of elimination. You are trying to find the right person for the right job. So in a way, selection becomes negative by function. So we move on, we try and get into something called the need for continuous recruitment. Why do you think it is needed to at least have a sound recruitment policy? First and foremost, to replace the vacancy created. The most important thing, why in an organization vacancy will be created? The most important reason is people will not going to stay for there forever. So there are a lot of people who will put in their papers and they will resign. So that is one of the most important reasons to have a continuous recruitment policy. Retirement happens to be another important reason. The third one happens to be promotion of employees on the roll. So a lot of people throughout the year might be promoted from one level to the other, and we need people to fill their shoes. So that is another reason for sound recruitment and continuous recruitment. The second reason for continuous recruitment happens to be because to deal with expansion program. Now you see, we say survival for the fittest is a mantra of the game. And you can only survive provided you expand and you stay contemporary. If you become stagnant, then probably there is no way you can survive. And there are a lot of examples from the world of business that have happened. A lot of brands probably have disappeared from the market. So when it comes to expansion program, we need to have new and fresh people. So that is another reason. Company often add new products to their existing product line. So they are trying to bring some kind of a new product. So look after that new product. They require some kind of a people will try and produce those, as well as people will try and market those. So in a way, we are looking for people. So that is what another reason for recruitment. To cope up with additional workload, I think recruitment is the need of the hour. The third important reason when it comes to recruitment of employees is how you are going to try and recruit the right people. The first important thing in the recruitment process is called a job analysis. Now, what is job analysis, my dear students? It is the first step in the process of recruitment and selection. Now, job analysis means you are trying to analyze the job to be done by the employee. And mind you, when we talk about job analysis, it is concerned with determination of the job traits. Now, what do we mean by job traits? The nature and duties and responsibilities involved in performing any job effectively. As we were discussing the example from the advertising world. So think about an ad agency. What is their work? They are probably helping the clients or the companies who are approaching them with developing the advertisement, whether it's a print advertisement or a television advertisement. Now this is what we look for. When we try and look the job analysis, we are trying to identify the duties and responsibilities that are involved in performing the job effectively. So this is the first step in the recruitment process. The second important aspect is called the personnel analysis. Now after job analysis, this comes. What is personnel analysis? On the basis of job analysis, the HR manager has to determine the probable characteristics and qualities expected of the future employee. Now when we talk about personnel analysis, actually it relates to general qualities. Think about the qualities you expect in a would-be employee for your organization. The basic qualities or the general qualities may relate to a good personality. They will obviously look for some kind of a healthy person. If the job demands a little bit of a strength, stamina and all, you'll obviously look for some kind of a character in terms of honesty and integrity. And above all, more or less depending on the requirement of the job, a level of intelligence. So these comes under personal analysis, and under personal analysis, we have a subcategory called general qualities. Now, apart from general qualities, an employee is expected to have some kind of a particular qualities. So depending upon the job, once again, past experience. Say, for example, you are trying to recruit a salesperson for an automobile company. So the past experience, if he or she happens to have from the automobile sector, will be handy. So past experience is very important in terms of particular quality. Product knowledge also is very important when you try and recruit a talented people. Third one is market knowledge. If you know about the industry, if you know about the competition, you are having an edge over the others. And finally, we talk about competition, how well you are informed about the competitive environment. So these are things we look for in personnel analysis. Third important thing we look for is the technical knowledge. If the job demands a little bit of a technical knowledge, whether the employee will try and bring that on board. So that will be an added advantage, my dear students. So when we talk about sources of recruitment now, you'll see that HR manager is expected to know all possible sources of recruitment. And when we talk about recruitment sources, a pool of interested and prospective employee is made in order to select the right kind of person for the right kind of job. And my dear students, this is a time-consuming affair, and this is something which requires a lot of cost and money. When we talk about investment in terms of time and in terms of money, you can understand the magnitude of responsibility a HR manager needs to perform. Now, when we talk about sources of recruitment, broadly there are two sources of recruitment. The first one, we call it the internal source of recruitment. Now, under internal source of recruitment, you'll see some business organization make recruitment from among person working in their own organization. Now, how is it happening? You might ask me this question. Now, talented and qualified person working in various departments of the organization are considered for filling up vacancies that arise from time to time. Now, you have a qualified and talented worker working in a particular department. And I think mostly you see this happening in case of banking sector and all. So they might be asked, and they might be probably talented people will try and fill up the vacancies which arise in some other department. So that is very common in the banking sector. The next important thing is internal source of recruitment is promotion. Most organizations follow this policy of selecting through promotion, where highly honest and sincere people get recognized by virtue of their performance and dedication towards the organization. Promoted employees get motivated and are prepared to work hard in future. So I think promotion in a way probably is a motivation for the employees. If you're promoted, means you're getting additional responsibility. Once you're getting additional responsibility, it is expected that you'll be able to perform better. So that is another way of looking into it. Transfer happens to be another internal source of recruitment. The HR department of the organization has a record of employees. Now, promising and talented employees can be transferred for some other offices or branches which the company is having. And transfer and promotions are very prominent in case of banking and insurance sector. And we know a lot of examples where senior position managers, officers of banks are transferred within a span of maybe a year and a half and 2 years from one branch to the other, or maybe from one state to the other. All the national banks are having this kind of a practice. So transfer happens to be another internal source. This is a new term that probably we are hearing now, which is called re-employment. When we talk about re-employment, you might be knowing this. What exactly is the meaning of re-employment? Because this happens to be one of the internal source of recruitment. Former employees whose past track record happens to be very clean and they have been probably good performer. For whatever reason, they have left the job. Now they are called back again. So re-employment means you are trying to call back your past employees once again to join your organization. Now there are both sides of the coin. It might have some kind of a positivity as well as there are a lot of challenges. The willingness of the former employee to rejoin the organization is an important aspect. It's not about the employer only, but the interest of the would-be employees also should be given due respect and recognition. Now this approach is helping in reducing the cost of training. If a person has already worked for your organization, he or she is aware about the work culture, the nature of job he or she need to perform, so that in a way will reduce and minimize the cost of training, so which will be an advantage for you in the long run. Now another internal source of recruitment already we have discussed. Now what are the advantages? If you try and recruit the people from within, so probably you don't have to spend too much money. Probably you will save on time. So these happens to be some of the important advantage. The existing candidates are well acquainted with the policies and programs of the organization. And I think hiring cost and training cost are probably minimized or negligible if you try and get the people from within. Now when it comes to internal source of recruitment, there are a lot of limitations or maybe some kind of a disadvantages. What are those disadvantages? First and foremost, probably you are restricting yourself within a limited number of people. You are not going to get the best talent which are available outside. Often what happens, concept of favoritism is there. Probably a biasness might crop in. So frustration and discontentment may also emerge among people or your employees who are not probably given that chance and who are not recruited for that opening. Now we'll look into the broad pool, where from externally we can recruit and what are the different sources. Advertisement, as we all know, happens to be one of the major sources. And when we talk about advertisement, not just print advertisement, we are living in a technology-driven era, and nowadays the internet happens to be one of the most important places from where candidates are recruited, online and all. So the next important thing, if you're looking for fresh, talented employees, you have to visit the campus of different universities and different B schools and maybe different engineering colleges and all. So campus recruitment and interview happens to be another source of external source of recruitment. Different employment exchanges nowadays have come up, both in the public and private employment exchange. They are offering service to both the prospective employer as well as to the employees. So as an employee, you might register with a headhunter, with a placement consultant. The employer might also get into a tie-up and who will do the recruitment on the basis of the employer. So these are things which we are seeing nowadays. Recommendation of existing employees happens to be another source of recruitment. So employees are also recruited by recommendations from existing employees. But there is something responsibility involved in the person who is suggesting your name. Now the person recommending and suggesting the name of a future employee normally take the moral responsibility for the success or failure of the prospective employee. And this might happen for you also. Somebody might recommend you for an organization. He or she need to be morally responsible. And your performance, your conduct, probably they will try and take the responsibility. So that is in a way the external source of recruitment. And the last but not the least, another interesting point is self-offers. Now forced application forms prospective job seeker. So on the website you can post your CV or maybe you can post it at their postal address and all. And mind you, reputed companies do keep a database of those people whose qualifications or maybe whose past experience are good enough. So that in a way is also another source of external recruitment. Now when we talk about external recruitment and internal recruitment, both need to have an equal kind of a balance. You should look for internal sources as well as, if required, external sources to fill up the right person with the right job. So I think with this we come to end of today's session focusing on HR planning and recruitment. So thank you and we'll meet next time.